everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm talking about Nonfiction November and what I plan to read. I'm also going to be reading a little bit of fiction. I'm doing a buddy read with someone, which I'll talk about, and then I'm also working my way through rereading another series. And so I don't want to lose steam on my fiction, but I definitely want to make it a priority to participate in Nonfiction November every time it comes around. And so I'm really excited to show you what I plan on reading for Nonfiction November. Nonfiction November is a month-long readathon hosted by a Book Olive, and she is a big proponent of nonfiction here on Booktube. Her videos are just very well put together and well thought through, and I really love her channel, one of my favorite Booktube channels. Olive has proposed 4 challenges for the month, and I've picked 4 books to fit into those challenges. So the first challenge I'm going to be talking about is design, and so you have to just find a book that has something to do with design. I'm gonna go with a book that I was actually already planning on reading. That would be Living the Cross-Centered Life by C.J. Mahaney. This is a Christian book. It is an exposition on the cross and Jesus dying on the cross and how that changed the world. And I fit it into the challenge of design because as a Christian, I believe that we are designed to worship God, and that God has designed us as individuals to be put on this earth and to worship Him. And so I'm really excited. This is a reread for me, actually. I remember being very impacted by this book. It's short, so I really don't think I'm going to have any problem getting through it. It's only about 150 pages, and so I'm excited to get back into this one. The next Nonfiction November challenge I will talk about is Voice, and for this one I just felt like I had the perfect book. I don't think it could be any more perfect, and that is The Star-Spangled Banner, The Unlikely Story of America's National Anthem by Marc Ferris. I pretty recently picked this book up. It was discounted at Barnes & Noble for I think like $4 or something. And obviously I'm picking this for Voice because of the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. And I think this is going to be either, I don't know, it's either very like sensational or it's going to be very eye-opening. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. I'm not sure how historically accurate it's going to be, but it seems like it's got lots of research to back it up. From Marc Ferris earned a master's in history, and he is a writer in the New York Times and Newsday. And so I'm hoping this is both interesting and entertaining. From the back it talks about how Francis Scott Key was actually a Southern slaveholder and his whole family supported the Confederacy, and also that Francis Scott Key got his melody from an 18th century British drinking song that slyly celebrates the joys of mixing alcohol and sex. And so this may be very shocking to read about our national anthem having very interesting and maybe sordid roots. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens with this one. I have always felt like the Star-Spangled Banner is a very strange national anthem that we have because it's so difficult to sing. It has a very complicated melody, and the average person probably can't sing it properly. It's a very challenging song musically, and so this will be a really fascinating read, I think. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Becoming Madeleine, which is a middle grade biography by Charlotte Jones Voiklis and Lena. I believe these are her granddaughters. So this book is about Madeleine L'Engle, the author, and I'm currently reading through her time quintet. And so I thought this would be a perfect complement to what I'm already reading. And interestingly enough, I think I bought this not knowing it was middle grade. It has some pictures throughout, and it's got just really large font. I feel like it's like a big print book. But it's gonna be cool because it's written by her granddaughters, and so this one I picked for the prompt true, and so I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty true story of Madeleine L'Engle, and it's really short. I'm really glad that it's gonna be low pressure. It's gonna be a low pressure readathon. I can fly through this one very quickly, I am sure. And reading her fiction really makes me wonder about her as a person, and so I'm excited to read this alongside reading her fiction. The last challenge was sport, and I really thought I wasn't going to be able to find a book for this until I realized I actually already owned one that had something about sport in it, and that is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. I have heard nothing but great things about this. I think I remember the Booktubers Summer Dawn reading this book, and she just loved it. I think it was like one of her favorite books of the year, and so I always had my eye on it. I actually found this in a little free library, and so it's a little bit of a beat up copy, but I knew that I had wanted to get to this. It fits into the challenge of sport because our main protagonist here, it's nonfiction, but it's about Louis Zamperini, who as a teenager, he was a runner and actually became an Olympic runner, and then he gets swept into World War II, he gets drafted, and I think he has a survival type of story. His plane goes down and crashes into the Pacific Ocean, and Zamperini survives somehow. He floats on a life raft and somehow survived. And so this is his story. I've heard it's very inspiring and just amazing. So I was so happy that I found one that had to do with sport and one that I was genuinely excited to read because I'm not really a sports person. And so I couldn't figure out what I was going to read, but yay, I found one. I'm actually buddy reading Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Really excited to do this. I'm actually buddy reading this with Emily from Books for Life. I'll link her YouTube channel down below. And I'm really excited. This is my first Brandon Sanderson novel that I will have ever read, and I'm reading it because I also pre-ordered the next book, which is coming out at the end of November. I think it's called Starsight. And so that one's in the mail. It's coming. So I gotta read this quickly. But this is going to be really fun to read it with Emily. This is a science fiction sort of novel. It's about our main character, Spensa, and her world has been under attack for decades. And then the pilots are the heroes of what's left of the human race, and becoming a pilot is very prestigious, and it's always been Spensa's dream since she was a little girl. And her father, I believe, is a pilot who was himself killed when he abruptly deserted his team, and Spensa is the daughter of a coward, and so her chances of attending the flight school that she wants to get into are a little bit slim because she has this controversial background with her father. And so it's all about her story and how I think maybe she gets into flight school. I don't know. But Brandon Sanderson is highly beloved around here, I'm sure, as you know. This will be my first Brandon Sanderson. I also own some of the Cosmere books. I really need to buy the Mistborn series because I know that's a really good starting place with him. But I figured this new series also will be a really good starting point because it's currently being written and the next book's coming out at the end of November, and so I'm ready to jump on the bandwagon. And then if I get to it, I would like to continue with my reread of the Time Quintet, and at that point I will be on the fourth book, which is Many Waters. This one is sort of a Noah's Ark retelling of sorts, with the Murray family somehow being swept up into this. I think they maybe travel back in time to Noah's Ark. I remember as a kid this one being really fascinating to me. I think it was maybe my favorite in the series when I was a kid, so we'll see how this holds up. I'm currently reading A Swiftly Tilting Planet, which is the third book in the series, and overall I'm having a very weird experience with this book. I didn't remember these books being so bizarre. They are just really bizarre. They have really bizarre characters and bizarre storyline. That's really the only way I can describe it right now. I must have loved that as a kid because I remember these being like my favorite books. As an adult, I'm not sure they're quite as good as I remembered them. But since this was my favorite in the series before, it'll be really interesting to see how this one holds up. That's everything I'm planning on reading in the month of November. Let me know down below if you are participating in Nonfiction November, what you plan on reading. 6 books is kind of a lot for me, but a lot of them are really short, so I think I can do it. I hope you're having a great day. Keep reading great books, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.